The story I'm about to share completely shattered the world I thought I knew. I was dead medically, flatlined for what they tell me was somewhere between 3 and 8 minutes. What I saw, what I experienced, it wasn't just a near-death moment. It was a near-life moment. Please pay close attention. I believe with all my heart, there's a message woven into my experience, and it's a message that was meant for you too. It's important that you witness this until the end. My name is Madison, and I'm 37 years old. I live in San Francisco, a city of breathtaking vistas and endless possibilities. Yet somehow I often found myself shrouded in a personal fog. I'm a photographer, and that's always been more than just a profession for me. It's a way of trying to capture the beauty in the world, to see what others might miss. Through the lens of my camera, I could find magic in the mundane, the extraordinary in the ordinary. I could make the grimy streets of the Tenderloin sparkle, find symphonies in the chaotic clash of urban life, make the fog-drenched Golden Gate Bridge seem like a pathway to another dimension. But while I was able to uncover beauty in the world around me, I had a very different relationship with myself. I rarely turned that same discerning, appreciative eye inward. It felt like there was some internal filter that muted all the good, amplified all the flaws. I often looked in the mirror and saw someone broken, lacking, someone who had somehow gotten it all wrong. My lens, it seemed, was always focused outwards, onto a world I perceived as infinitely more beautiful and worthy than I. Professionally, I was doing okay, though I'd always been my harshest critic, berating my work as amateurish, even when I knew otherwise. I constantly compared my art to that of the masters. I felt a pressure to be original, to find my voice. But my voice, it always felt a little squeaky, a little off-key. I was caught in a cycle of striving and never quite feeling good enough. I remember going to photography exhibits at museums and secretly thinking all of my work should go straight to the trash. It sounds awful, but it's the truth of how I felt. Spiritually, things were equally muddled. I was raised with some very vague religious notions, and when I was a teenager, I abandoned all of that thinking. I wasn't an atheist exactly, but more like a spiritual wanderer, drifting aimlessly, questioning everything but finding few answers that truly resonated. I had this nagging feeling that there had to be something more, some deeper truth that I just couldn't grasp. Yet, instead of engaging the question, I buried myself in my work and tried to find purpose and meaning in beauty through the lens of my camera. It was as if I was trying to capture something eternal in the fleeting moments, desperately searching for what was missing in my own life. My heart always felt a little hollow. I was living, yes, but not truly alive. This sense of unworthiness, of deep and ingrained self-doubt. It permeated everything I did. It was the invisible backdrop to every photograph I took, to every decision I made. I'd been feeling a constant sense of inadequacy. It was my internal baseline. I felt that I was destined to just keep chasing what I did not have. I craved something transformative, something that would shake me out of this cycle of self-criticism. Little did I know that transformation was about to occur in the most dramatic way possible. Before I delve into the life-altering details of the event that changed everything, I want you to type the city and country you are watching from in the comments below. I'm going to read them all, every single one of your replies. The day it happened, I was on assignment, photographing a warehouse district set for demolition. I remember the sounds of heavy machinery, the dust thick in the air, the smell of concrete and old wood. I was trying to capture the moment just before destruction. I found myself drawn to a peculiar corner, an old brick building that seemed to hold on to its stories despite the impending wall. I ventured deeper, adjusting my camera settings, looking for the right light, the right angle. Suddenly, a spark. It ignited something, I'm not even sure what it was, and within moments, the building was engulfed in flames. The fire spread with terrifying speed, and in a moment of sheer panic I tripped and fell, hitting my head hard on a concrete floor, losing consciousness before the flames took over. The next thing I knew, I wasn't in my body anymore. It's such an odd sensation, like being a whisper, a thought, separate from the physicality of existence. I was floating above myself, looking down on the scene below. I saw my body sprawled on the floor, the flames licking around it. I saw the smoke, the red glow of the fire, and even the first responders arriving. But I felt no fear, no panic. I had no connection to the body, that physical shell. It was as if I was looking at someone else's accident. I remember seeing my own features distorted by the smoke and grime, and surprisingly I felt nothing. No sadness, no remorse or regret. I was simply observing. It was like watching a movie but feeling like you were part of the audience, not part of the story. Then, a subtle shift. It was as if I was being drawn somewhere, pulled gently forward, but also inward, not through any physical mechanism, but through a change in my consciousness itself. I moved through the smoke and flames, but I was not burned. Nothing affected me. The physical world faded, and I found myself in a place of immense light, not the harsh, blinding light of the fire, but a soft, warm, loving light that seemed to emanate from everything around it. There were shapes, yes, but not shapes as I knew them. The whole space had a sense of fluidity, like a gentle, constantly shifting kaleidoscope. And then, I was not alone. I became aware of beings of light, not figures with wings or robes, but beings of pure consciousness, shimmering like stars in the velvet of space. They weren't speaking with voices as I understand them, but somehow I understood them perfectly. The communication was like a pure transmission of thought and feeling, a silent symphony of love and knowledge. There was no fear, only a sense of being unconditionally accepted, loved, seen. It was profound, like a homecoming of the soul. I felt connected to something vast, ancient, and beautiful. It was like returning home, a home that I didn't even know that I had forgotten. I felt enveloped in this profound love. It was the most exquisite feeling of peace I had ever known, as if all the tension and anxiety that I'd carried my entire life just melted away. There was no judgment, no expectation, just a boundless understanding and acceptance. It was a feeling of utter wholeness, and it felt like a gentle hand holding me and telling me, "You are perfect, you are whole, and you are loved." It was a feeling I didn't know I was missing, but it felt so right and so complete. They showed me a tapestry, a vast, intricate woven story, made of light and sound. They revealed to me not one single life, but all lives, interconnected in an endless dance of cause and effect. They showed me how every thought, every action, sends ripples across time and space. I saw how my struggles, my doubts, my fears were not isolated events, but threads in a bigger picture, part of a grand design. This revelation was more than intellectual understanding. It was an experience, a truth imprinted in my very being. It was like seeing the full spectrum of colors for the first time, realizing that I had been living in a world only in shades of gray. I was shown scenes from my own life, not as a judgment, but as an opportunity to see the deeper purpose in the choices I had made. I saw how the self-doubt, which I felt had been my biggest enemy, had also spurred me to seek beauty, to strive for meaning. I was made to understand that the internal struggle had been a catalyst for a very particular form of creativity that could never have been born from a state of comfort. In this luminous realm, time did not exist as I had known it. There was no past or future, only an eternal now. I saw what felt like the possibility of numerous paths I could take in my life, each with its own unique outcomes, like branches on an infinitely vast tree. I was also made aware that it was not so important which path I chose, but rather that my soul was simply meant to be on a path. It was more about the journey and the lessons I would learn. I was shown my potential, the endless possibilities for joy, for growth, for love, if only I could choose to believe in myself. It wasn't a vision of some chosen path or a destiny written in stone. It was just the recognition that I could choose my own destiny. I just had to open my eyes. The central message I received, the one that resonated through every fiber of my being, was this: true beauty is in the eyes of the beholder, and you are the beholder. It was profound in its simplicity, yet so far-reaching in its implications. It wasn't about some external standard of attractiveness, but about the way I chose to perceive myself. It was as if they were saying, the world is a mirror, and you see the world through your own lens. This message pierced the very core of my self-doubt, my constant comparison to others, my relentless self-criticism. It showed me that my perception was my creation, that all that I was seeing was a reflection of how I was feeling about myself. They showed me that the lens with which I was viewing the world was not just an object, but an extension of my very being. I was not simply seeing through the lens, I was creating my reality through my lens. If I was only seeking beauty outside of myself, then it was because I had not yet recognized it within. This wasn't just a nice sentiment, it was a cosmic truth, a fundamental principle of existence. It meant that the beauty I searched for through my camera was, and always had been, within me. I had been trying to capture something external that was already in my heart, in the way I perceived the world. I felt this wave of realization that I was projecting the lack I felt in myself onto everything around me. The beings of light showed me that everything in existence is interconnected. There is no separation between what is beautiful and what is not. There is only perception. It is the lens we choose to use that creates this difference. The universe was reflecting back at me the way I saw myself. And the more I sought beauty outside of myself, the further I moved away from recognizing the beauty within. This realization caused a massive shift in my consciousness. It wasn't just about seeing myself differently, it was about seeing everyone, everything in a new light. The world was no longer an external arena to find beauty in. It was an extension of this very lens, this perspective. If I were not finding beauty, then it was because I was looking for it in all of the wrong places. They emphasized that I was a powerful creator, not just through my photography, but through every thought and feeling. My self-perception was not just an internal feeling, but an energy I was actively projecting into the world. When I saw myself as unworthy, that was the energy I was sending out into the universe. The way I was living my life was a product of this lack of worthiness. My lack of self-worth was a lens that distorted how I saw my life. The other aspect of the message was the understanding that I am also the beholder of my own reality, but not just my own. I am also the beholder of the reality of others. By seeing myself as beautiful, I was changing the way I saw the world, and thus the way the world saw me and everyone around me. The same was true when I did not believe in myself. The world also saw me that way. So how could I be looking for beauty in the outside world if I did not believe that that beauty was a part of me? It wasn't about becoming perfect, but about recognizing the perfection that already existed within me. This was not about a narcissistic delusion of some sort. This message was meant to be understood in the most profound sense. The perfection was already there, just like the beauty was already there. The lens, my internal lens, had been out of focus. The lesson was about self-acceptance, but more than that, it was about self-love. It was about seeing myself through the same lens of love and appreciation that I used when capturing the world through my camera. If I could see the beauty in the chaos of the city, in the details of everyday life, I could surely also find the beauty within my own heart and soul. We are all connected, after all. What was there in one was also there in all. They conveyed to me the way the spiritual realm operates is through this mechanism of perception, love, and energy. When we vibrate at a lower frequency, we attract that to ourselves. The same is true when we vibrate at a high frequency. This realm was simply a reflection of the choices I was making every day. The connection between the earthly realm and the celestial realm is a dance between this perception of self-worth and the love that surrounds us at all times. It is our job to recognize that love and to bring it into our daily lives, through the way we perceive ourselves and the way we live our lives. The heavenly realm, which I had glimpsed, was a place of pure light, of unconditional love and acceptance. It wasn't somewhere out there, it was here now, a dimension that was always within reach, simply waiting to be realized through a change in perspective, a change in heart, a change in lens. This message was not just for me, it was for everyone. It was an invitation to see ourselves and each other through the eyes of love, not the eyes of judgment and comparison. It was a call to understand that we all have this power to create, this ability to manifest our own unique reality. Our lives are only as beautiful as we believe ourselves to be. I didn't want to leave. I wanted to stay in that state of pure light and love. But then, a gentle pull, and I was back. The harsh smell of smoke, the cacophony of voices, the pain throbbing in my head. I was back in my body, back in the warehouse. But everything had changed. I had been transformed, and the whole world had been transformed with me. The doctors told me that I had been without a heartbeat for several minutes, and when they were performing chest compressions, I gasped back to life. It felt like I had been asleep for a few minutes, but I knew it had been so much more than that. Since my return, my life has become a canvas for this new perception. My photography has transformed. I still photograph the world, but now, with a different understanding. I search for beauty as an invitation to see myself and others, as a reminder of our inherent worthiness. I still find beauty in the chaos, in the everyday, but now I also see the beauty in the imperfections, in the flaws, because, after all, the flaws are what make each of us unique and perfect, in our own way. I'm more accepting of myself and others. The self-doubt, while not completely gone, no longer has the same power over me. I now understand that it's just a part of my journey, not a fundamental flaw. I've been learning to be kind to myself, to honor my feelings, to recognize that the road to beauty passes through the path of acceptance. I don't just see myself as an artist anymore, but also as a work of art, in a constant state of progress, of constant creation. I now realize that I am the master artist of my own life. The spiritual journey I'm on now is less about seeking and more about being. I no longer feel that disconnectedness, the sense of being lost. I carry that light with me always. I know that I am an integral part of something larger, something beautiful. I look in the mirror now, and yes, there are still days when I see what I perceive as flaws. But I now also see the beauty, the strength, the light that shines from within. And this shift has changed everything. Not only about my life, but about the lives of those around me. Because, as it turns out, the camera was not just for photographing the outside world. It was also a tool to reflect and create beauty in my own life. Now, I use my camera as a symbol of that powerful truth. My experience taught me that the spiritual realm is not some far-off place. It's right here, a dimension that is interwoven with our physical reality. It is a state of consciousness, a way of perceiving the world with love and acceptance, and it all starts with ourselves. If we can truly see ourselves for who we really are, then we can also see the potential in everyone around us. So, I ask you now, as you reflect on my experience, to look into your own life with compassion, with kindness. What do you see when you look into the mirror? How does the way you see yourself affect your life, your relationships, your journey? Are you using your lens to create a beautiful reality? Take a moment to feel the beauty that is already within you. It is there, waiting to be discovered, waiting to be recognized. Just change your lens, and you can create a masterpiece. It is all in your perception, for you are the beholder. The beauty you seek is waiting to be uncovered within you. You have the power. You always had it.